What was a red flag that made you stop talking to a person immediately? I told a guy the first only had time for a coffee date because I had a study group to attend. He kept trying to extend again and again and eventually asked if I would go watch a movie at his place. I said, no, I have to leave now, and he knocked on my car window so I'd roll it down, then refused to let go of the top of the glass. I had to pull away slowly with him still holding on. The study group laughed their asses off when I told them why I was late. He didn't get a second date. In high school, my longtime crush finally started to reciprocate my feelings, and we began hanging out. That's when he told me he and his buddies liked to ride their bikes and swing baseball bats as they chased terrified homeless people down. When he saw my horrified expression, he said, "We don't actually hit them. They just think we will. At worst, we'll throw brown paper bags full of dog shit at them." Ha ha ha. That relationship lasted about half a day. Back when I was about 15 and walking my grand's new small rescue dog, I saw a group of my friends, including a slightly older boy I fancied. I walked up and started chatting with the group about our new furry family member and his tragic history. At that moment, the lad I liked thought it would be funny to lunge at the dog. He was nearly 6 feet tall already at 17, and the dog was a small poodle. So the size difference from the perspective of that little dog must have been terrifying, especially considering the abuse he'd suffered. The poor dog ran behind me, shaking like a leaf, and the lad was doubled over laughing his ass off. I've never hated someone so quickly and intensely before or since. I gave him a piece of my mind, which as a teen amounted to me shouting about what a total wanker he was and how I hoped he shriveled and died. I never bothered speaking to him again. He phased out of the friend group soon after, and I don't know what happened to him. Fortunately, the dog was fine and over the course of a couple of years really developed his confidence with my gran until he was 14 and passed peacefully in his sleep. If by some alignment of the stars you read and remember this, Dave, fuck you. You're a wanker, and I still hope you shriveled up. I had a friend that I grew up with, played on the same teams, our parents were friends, and we were in each other's weddings. He was in the police academy and came over to the house one night during that time and said, "Ya know, I thought I wanted to be a cop so I could serve and protect, really help people, ya know. Now I realize it's so I can drive really fast, carry a gun, and beat people up." He also went on a rant about how all homeless people should be rounded up and buried or thrown under the jail and disposed of. We never spoke again after that day. Found out I was pregnant with my current partner, and we mutually decided we would not keep it. We're on the wrong side of 35 and can't afford it. His best friend looked me dead in the eye and asked, "Do all women do this early in relationships, think they're pregnant to keep their men?" Positive urine and blood tests and the need for a medical procedure I never wanted to endure, but sure, I'm just making this all up to keep my partner. I'd kept my mouth shut on his flat earth theories until then, but that was the last straw. Met a girl online who absolutely love-bombed me after a few weeks of texting. A while after it started, she tried to pressure me to cut ties with my family and throw away a great job opportunity. Guilt-tripped the hell out of me, said I was the worst human ever while somehow also being the sole reason she was still alive. Said I absolutely must move to her city literally on the other side of the continent while she could stay at her boyfriend's home. Hadn't known until then that she had a boyfriend. I would have probably ended up as a mutilated corpse in the woods of bumfuck nowhere, without my peers knowing about my whereabouts. Thankfully, the whole convo gave me the chills, and I was able to cut the contact immediately. Nowadays, if someone shows me even the slightest bit of affection, it instantly triggers a hardcore fight or flight response. So, thanks for that, I guess. I was once seeing this guy, but after a couple of dates, I wasn't too sure I could see myself going any further with him, so we gradually started to chat less. I worked in a bar at the time, and a couple of weeks after, he came into my place of work on an incredibly busy shift and decided to confess that he wanted to move forward into a relationship. I was in the midst of serving customers and waiting on tables, and he took it upon himself to try and stop me from doing my job until I told him that I wanted to be with him. Of course, I did not do this. My manager witnessed the whole thing and was highly unimpressed with the situation. He brought his 2 friends who were incredibly rude and sexist to my female coworkers. I had absolutely no time for someone who interfered with my job and associated with people who spoke to women, or anyone, for that matter, in such a demeaning way. I used to live in the country about 30 miles outside of the city. I had a very, very good friend for about 10 years. My girlfriend and I moved into the city, and my contact with him became less and less as I gained a new circle of friends that lived in the same apartments as I did. One weekend, I was going to visit my parents, and he found out I would be there and came over to the house. I was happy to see him since it had been a while. Well, I had taken one of my newer friends with me. I'm a white dude, and my friend I took with me is a black dude. The 3 of us were standing by my car having a normal conversation when out of nowhere my old friend says to my new friend, "I have never dated any of your kind, but I gotta say your kind sure do make some pretty women." That was the end of that conversation and the last time I spoke to that guy. That was probably 20 years ago. It wasn't immediate cause I was low-key like WTF, but in HS, I had a guy friend who I was pretty close with. Pretty chill dude, or so I thought. He asked out one of the popular athletic girls. But he did it in a grand gesture way. It was in front of a bunch of staff and students. He bought her a big bouquet of flowers. She said yes, I'm assuming from the pressure. Teachers would joke about them being lovebirds. It was cringe. 3 days later, she expressed that she wasn't interested in dating him, and they broke up. He seemed upset, as one would be, but otherwise normal. Till one day he told me he wished he could run her over with his truck. I think that was one of my first close encounters with an incel type. It just shocked me. He didn't even say it jokingly. He was furious she rejected him. We had a school trip together out of the country, and originally I would have been his buddy for when the class was out sightseeing, but I was just so freaked out that I avoided him most of the trip. Eventually faded out of friendship. I recognized a lot more red flags that I hadn't thought of when we were no longer friends. Weird AF. IDK how he is now. Better, I hope. An acquaintance of mine was this shy, nerdy guy. Hadn't seen him in years and at a party saw him completely buffed out, but he was still shy and nerdy. He had said in the past that he avoided drinking because it didn't make him feel good, it only made him angry. Well, in his new buffed out state he decided to get hammered at the party. First, he started punching furniture, talking about everything that was wrong with the world. He hugged a girl from behind, saying she wanted it, obviously scaring the crap out of her. That's when I took him aside to calm things down, and he told me I don't really know him. He started punching the side of my head, really hard, and told me how he goes out and fights NGGERS for fun. I was able to calm him down that night. He did call me the next day, sounding like his complete and nerdy self, asking what he had done and what he said. I said, "You said and did things you can't come back from, man." I've avoided any interaction with him ever since. She was extremely frugal, which I didn't mind, but it seemed she didn't care when it was my money being spent. Final straw was on my birthday. My birthday is on a holiday where everything is grossly overpriced to do anything that day. Because of this, I told her I just wanted to have a relaxing night in my apartment with her. We already had issues with her not taking into account things I asked her not to do. She texts me on my birthday saying to make sure I have no plans for the evening, and to dress nice. At this point, we had been dating for a couple of months. I told her no, whatever it is she had planned, I specifically said I didn't want to do, especially since I knew once the check came it was going to be my problem. Stopped talking to her after that night, since it was clear my opinion was never going to matter, especially on days like my birthday. Only thing I feel bad about was that I ghosted her, which was a dickhead move on my end, but at that time my thought process was if she doesn't listen to a word I say anyway, why would she listen when I say I don't want to date anymore? I had a longtime friend that I seemed to have a lot in common with. I thought she was really cool, and even looked up to her a little bit because she's a few years older than me. We both had backgrounds of being homeless, and both never outgrew being punks. She seemed thoughtful and like she wanted to make the world a better place. She always hit on me when we got drunk, even though I was in a monogamous relationship, but she never pushed it past that initial attempt each time, so I let it go. Then a series of friends started informing our social circle that when she drank, she violated their consent regarding sexual activity. I'm trying to phrase it pretty loosely, because the behavior ranged widely with the 4 different people that said it happened to them. I'm ashamed to admit that when the first person brought it up, I blew it off because he had a tendency to elaborate stories and exaggerate for comic effect, and he kept hanging out with her, so I thought it wasn't a big deal. Then the other 3 told their stories in close succession, and I knew I had to cut her out of my life completely. A bunch of people in our town did so around the same time, and she never acknowledged the accusations, just put on a general victim act like everyone was out to get her and tried to paint the rest of us as abusers. That really only solidified my decision not to be her friend anymore. We grew up and studied together. A few months after I turned 18, I found myself bisexual, and since he was a longtime good friend, he was a person I told about it. By the way, I never felt attracted to him. He is ugly. At first, he started asking if everything I listened to or did was gay. I would put on a new song he didn't know and immediately he would ask, "Is this a gay song?" As this song related to something about being gay. One time at a birthday party, he took a few drinks, called me to a corner, and asked if all the times we slept at each other's houses, as kids, growing up, multiple times in many different years I wanted to fuck him. Yeah, specifically fuck him, not if I was attracted to him or someone else, but if I wanted to fuck him. The last straw was on a WhatsApp school group. Someone posted a funny picture about Bolsonaro being gay. At the time, rumors about the then president having a boyfriend when he was in the army were being spread. Most of the comments were people making fun of it. Some got mad and defended his honor. But that guy sent a message saying this: "Being gay is not right. This is wrong. We should be able to kill gays and not get blamed for it." Some messages later, he was saying stuff like, "I don't have a problem with gays, but this is not right." My mom is a little mad that I don't talk with him anymore since she saw us grow up, but why the heck would I still be in touch with someone who would openly say he would kill me if he had the chance? Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on the best Reddit stories.